Just with that separation, it made me just, I guess, become more so closed off because I didn't understand what happened and why it happened.
Hey guys, and welcome to Little Black Book 91. We're giving you a quick live. I know we're going to jump on our super panel a little bit later on, but I wanted to address this because I thought this was really powerful. I've just literally finished watching Married at First Sight, and we're going to jump on to the super panel in about 10 minutes or so. But I loved this episode. This is one of the best episodes of Married at First Sight I think they've ever had. And this is not me kidding. This is me just talking from a perspective of loving the psychology and loving to dig deep into people's backgrounds. This is what we need from Married at First Sight. I need this every damn week for Married at First Sight. The stuff you've been giving us has been trash. I'm going to be honest with you. For the last 3 or 4 seasons has been extremely trash. But this season has been a little bit trash. But this season was this particular episode was amazing. We dug deep, we asked questions, we got deeper into people's backgrounds and understood where they're coming from. Now, I titled this video Trauma, the trauma issue, because I think I said a few weeks ago, I was defending Kirsten, saying that I can see there is something deeper and there's something a bit more traumatic that is happening with her. And this episode just kind of brought it out by getting deeper into a story. And I won't go too deep. I'll do a live tomorrow. Watching Gina and also Clint, amazing because it got some depth into it. And so, you know, it's amazing to kind of see these couples and see how they're forming and see how they're going through some of the struggles. I mean, let me focus specifically on Kirsten and Shaq really quickly. This is not the live super panel, guys. This is just a quick live I'm doing, quick breakdown. Let's just quickly just go into this particular aspect and have a little conversation.
And you know, how my life changed because I'm living in 2 different households. So that was really a difficult time for me. Like, it was always.
Now, Kirsten says here really quickly, she says how, you know, she was in 2 different households and because her parents had divorced. And I want to just be very frank here. When I've counseled people, whether they're single, whether they're married, whether they're together, whether they're divorced, whatever, we dive into the backgrounds in their childhoods because that gives us the impetus as to why you do what you do. And a lot of times with a lot of people's trauma, it is to do with parents' divorce. It's so mad how many people's trauma is encapsulated in a moment or moments that involve something that doesn't even involve them. So here what I'm going to say to you, children, I heard someone say this, children are almost narcissistic in the sense of whatever they go through life, they believe it's about them, right? Because they're kids. And so when things happen to parents who break up and divorce, especially if both parents don't make a conscious effort to provide a safe haven emotionally and mentally for that child, and they're not bickering back and forth and fighting and moving mad, etc. When the kids don't get that, they begin to fall into their own particular emotional mental issues. For Kirsten specifically, you're gonna hear her talk about how she closet. I love what Elsid said there, which we've been talking about for weeks, have we not, Elsid? We've been talking about this, that her house was a representation of what was going on up here. Her house was a representation of what was going up in her mind. She put all her little things in the closet. Everything else was very clean. Everything else was very sharp. Everything was very in its place, except her closet. And that was a representation right there of her feelings, of where she puts her emotions and her feelings. It's on a back burner. And what is put on the front foot is her achieving and her goal setting. And maybe that was what rewarded when she was trying to vie for the attention of both parents. You know, that this situation here with Kirsten. Let's watch a little bit more and we'll talk a little bit more quickly. I'm not going to keep it long because I'm going to go.
My own decisions, and I always try to handle my own issues and my own sadness by myself. So sometimes
So what you heard right there is her saying, she said right there, what was happening for her is that she had to put her feelings on the back burner, and she had to self-regulate. You hear me say this word a lot of times, self-regulate. What this means is that you had to deal with yourself emotionally and mentally, and a lot of times physically. You had to look after yourself, and this self-regulation causes a deep sense of in independence, so much so that you put your emotions on the back burner because they are not fit for survival. Emotions have no place when people are trying to survive. I haven't got time to undress it or unpack it, just like her house. I've got no time and no place and no energy to unpack these emotions because it's about surviving. She has been surviving for a very long time, and many of us have been surviving for a very long time when it comes to our emotional well-being and our emotional welfare. We have been surviving for a very long time. We've been ignoring the pain that we've been feeling in our hearts and in our minds and in our souls, and we've been covering it up with achievements and doing things, but they do not address the internal dialogue and the internal wounds that one feels at a given time. But it does what? It emotionally bleeds out onto our relationships. You hear me say that word all the time, emotionally bleeding. People let out how they feel emotionally through the way they go through their relationship. So it's important to understand that this was what was working behind the scenes for Kirsten. And I told you that Shaq is going to have to almost play like a counselor to get us out of her. And I said this, she needs therapy. Her and Aris, they need therapy, because the thing that is affecting them, the other person, as much as we love and see how Dr. Pepper did her job, she's a professional. Shaq is not. Okay, now Shaq can work on some skills to ask her better questions. I can agree. I can honestly agree that. But he's not a therapist. She needs a counselor or a therapist or social worker, whatever you guys call it. She needs someone who's going to dedicate their time. Okay, she needs somebody who's going to dedicate their time, their attention, and their energy to be able to listen to her and her story. She needs somebody who's going to be 100% dedicated, unwavered, unfazed, not distracted, and focused, so that she can listen to what's being said. Yeah, the person needs to listen to what she's saying. That's what Dr. Pepper did in that moment. And then as she asked a question, Kirsten was allowed to speak. Notice Dr. Pepper didn't have to cut her off. Notice Dr. Pepper didn't have to add another something in there. She just let Kirsten answer the question. All right. It became a safe place for Kirsten. Okay. All right.
I would sweep how I feel under the rug, and not really talk to people all the time about how I feel or what I'm thinking. So
think it's affecting your marriage a bit?
Possibly so, yes.
Marriage requires.
Now, I think the hardest thing here also is the fact that I don't think she even fully realizes the difficulty, the influence that her boxing her own feelings has affected her current relationship and marriage. Her boxing her particular feelings, this is affecting her marriage. That's what Dr. Pepper was trying to get her to see. And she didn't even really realize. She was like, I think so. I don't know. She's not sure, because she hasn't never addressed these emotions. She's not even sure what she's feeling right now. Look, and we'll get deep into another review where we talk about the fact that, that she really struggles to be able to articulate how she actually feels. And the problem with that is Shaq doesn't know where he stands. Now we're seeing more of her wanting him to be all over her, wanting to pursue her, and wanting to be desired. And here's the thing, her trauma is so deep for her that she struggled to even articulate that she wanted to be desired. She wanted to move off action rather than saying how she felt. And even in the beginning, she was rejecting him because it wasn't the perfect guy that she actually wanted. And therefore she rejected him before he rejected her. And then when he was rejecting her, she had started to move over. And now when she rejected him, he felt some way because remember also his father figure wasn't involved in his life, and that rejection that he feels from his father, she just made him feel like he was a little kid again. A lot of the issues that people face in marriage and in relationships are not current. They are not present. They are past things that are coming up in the present. You know, there's nothing new underneath the sun, the Bible says. This is coming back from the past. So why? And I said this on the video, and I said Shaq was punishing Kirsten because he was also feeling rejected in that moment. He couldn't let it go because he was afraid if he lets it go, he gonna get hurt again. It was very hard for him too. And I really wanted Dr. Pepper to acknowledge that. Like, what I don't like also is the fact that we try to move past men's feelings. I wish Dr. Pepper, and I'll do a separate video on this. Let me write down my notes because I got about 10 videos I've got to do this week, because Married at First Sight was giving. It was giving. I've got like 4 or 5 videos already listed I'm going to be doing this week for you guys, but I got about 7 or 8 to do this week. Okay, but I needed Dr. Pepper to give Shaq some assurances too, because what she did is she invalidated his experience as well by saying, well, you know, that was in the past, get over it. You just did exactly the same thing that Kirsten did to him earlier on. Why did you not acknowledge? Dr. Pepper, maybe she did and it was edited, I'm not sure, but the edit made her say to him, oh, but you know, that was, you know, now she wants it. Now you should. It's like, wait, no, wait. Let's validate him first. Like, we see you, Shaq. We understand that it was painful. Okay, we understand that, you know what you went through. You were rejected in that moment. She did reject you, and it is painful, and we acknowledge that. Here's what we want you to do. We want you to now move to the other side and start looking at it from a different perspective, right? Wanting to move to the other side of the perspective and understand that, hey, look, now that's happened, she's saying this is what she's saying. She wants you now. Let's move forward. And so I wanted to see that as well, because oftentimes we validate women all the time with their experiences. I've been doing it. I've validated Kirsten by not going on a rampage, by saying, I understand you. But at the same time, we've got to also acknowledge that men are also got feelings and they get hurt too. We are not robots, and we cannot do everything right all the time. We need to understand that when these things are coming our way, we need to be validated too. We need to be told that, yes, we see you and you've gone through this pain and we understand it, not just to get over it. It's not a get over thing, right? Because you're a man, get over. No. We're not doing that. We don't do that here. That's not what we do. We validate people's feelings and we validate what they've gone through and their experiences, whether they're a man or a woman. And then we can give them some tools and resources to move forward with what they need to do next. Last little bit, you know, just that last little bit, and then we'll get on to the actual live and go off because we've got time is gone, and I need to get onto the actual panel.
Letting down a lot of those boundaries and trusting the other person to take care of you, and being able to let them take care of you some and still not feel like you're losing, you know, this.
If you look at Shaq's face, you can tell. That's why I said, do you know why I said about the validation? If you look at Shaq's face by the end, he's in, but you can tell he's not fully all the way there yet. But he gets on with it later on in the episode, so we love it. But you can tell that he wasn't validated just by his facial expression. It was telling me he wasn't validated in that moment. He wasn't seen in that moment. He wasn't appreciated in that moment, right? It's easy to validate women because we all talk about their feelings, but I can tell by the way his body language is in this scene, he wasn't validated in this particular part. Now, you know what I mean? So that's also a part that needs to also happen as well. And that we see you in that moment. And this is something that needs to be said. I need people to understand that, because just because you have your issues, and I'm talking to general populace, not anybody specific, just because you have your issues does not mean that we don't understand what the other person has as well. We have to be able to understand from both sides. You know what I mean? So there has to be a validation of what the person's gone through to be able to acknowledge, hey, we see you and we honor you and we know where you've gone through, and we want you to move forward now as well. Okay, so that's all important stuff. And my final things on this, I'm going to say, like I said, I've got several videos I need to do throughout the course of the week, which I'm loving. I can't wait to do. Yeah, Jessica said his face screamed that, you know, you got to be kidding me. There's several things that have got to be said in this situation, I think. But I want to end on this last note and get onto the super panel. The main thing I wanted to focus on for Shaq and for Kirsten is that this is only the beginning. She's shared now, but it's just the beginning. The walls that he's about to encounter are about to get deeper. Okay? Because once you get past the first layer, she's going to have to try and get past the other layers that are also there. This was just the first wall. And when you get past the other layers, there is deeper wounds that start to manifest themselves. Okay? That starts to come out. So this is why it's very tough to hang on and hold on, to the situation. So just gotta be, be wary of that. But I love seeing this stuff. Okay, I love seeing the stuff. This is the kind of stuff we want to see on Married at First Sight. I am tired of the bull crap they have been giving us and feeding us like chicken feed on a farm for the last few months and the last few seasons. This is the content I need, and I'll do a separate live for this. The experts were late this season, okay, because the amount of work they could have done from earlier on in the season, they could have saved half of these relationships. Okay, they could have saved half of these relationships. They could have saved a lot of these marriages by being there early and having these interventions. Let's not even talk about Aris and Jasmine. Jasmine's done a whole 360. Now, I know some people are going to say she was signed out, and I'm going to my last point. I know a lot of people say that Jasmine was signed out, but Jasmine is giving me that, sis, you might not be as deep as you thought you were. I know she might have signed out a little bit, but baby, is giving you might not be as deep as you said you were. Just saying. It's given that you might not be as deep as you thought you were. And I think, I'm going to be honest with you, I think Aris may not even realize, but I think he perceived it. This was not going to be a safe place for you to land your deep traumas with, because she might not be able to handle all that stuff, bro. Like I said, he needs a therapist, right? But, I don't know. It's one of them ones there, kids. You know what I mean? It's one of them ones there. So, yeah, it's interesting. Y'all saying that Jasmine checked out. She's not as checked out as you think she is. She's not as checked out as you think she is. If you watch her body language, even with Dr. Pepper, she's all leaning up on him. Sissy, if you checked out, be checked out, but she's not. The reality is she is just like Shaq. Now she wants to see Aris. I want you to pull more weight because I've been pulling the weight. She's doing the exact same thing Shaq was, which is punishing, right? She's punishing Aris the same way that Shaq was punishing Kirsten in that moment because she's hurt. The same thing that Shaq was doing, she's now doing, right? And it's making me question whether you have that depth now. Okay? Just saying. It's making me question when you got that depth now. All right? So anyway, we're going to jump onto the super panel. We're going to go, you know what I mean? We're going to jump on that. But I appreciate you guys for joining us for this last 15, 17 minutes, whatever. We're going to go over, we're going to go over now. You know what I'm saying? We're going to talk about, I want to have a deep conversation today. We're going to have a real good conversation today. So we definitely going to get into it. We're definitely going to get into it as well. All right, guys. We're going to see you over at the super panel live, and we'll see you in a few minutes time. Much love and appreciation. We'll see you again very, very soon.